Using levy money for charter schools and Medicaid expansion is reborn.
From the Battelle studio at WOSU at COSI, this is Columbus on the Record. Joining Mike Thompson this week, Bill Cohen, retired State House correspondent for Ohio Public Radio. Ann Fisher, host of All Sides with Ann Fisher on 89.7 NPR News. Sam Gresham of Common Cause Ohio, and Mark Weaver, Republican strategist.
While it's unlikely that Governor John Kasich will get the Medicaid expansion program he wants, a new Republican proposal comes pretty close. Many Republicans are loath to accept a major part of Obamacare and expand Medicaid. Representative Barbara Sears' bill would expand and reform Medicaid, she says. The expansion would be the same as the Obama-Kasich plan, but it would require the state to study Medicaid reforms to lower costs. It would offer job training to help recipients get better jobs and better insurance benefits. And if the feds renege on their promise to pay for the expansion, Ohio can opt out. Mark Weaver, is this enough of a difference between the plans to satisfy conservative Republicans who will not support Medicaid expansion under the Obama plan?
I think it might be. It's certainly a good step in a very important direction. Both sides have some good points. Conservatives, like most Ohioans who rejected Obamacare at the polls a few years ago, are concerned about Obamacare, and they don't want to just feed into it. But on the other hand, in many counties in Ohio, the local hospital is not only one of the greatest source of jobs, but of course the only source of health care. And these hospitals desperately need help. This might be just the Medicaid reform that can make the difference.
I think Mark is right, but I'll phrase it a little different. With the DSH money gone, there's not a whole lot of alternatives that these hospitals have. And
DSH money is?
Disproportionate money that hospitals used to get money when people couldn't pay that DSH money is gone. It will hurt rural and urban hospitals if it didn't exist. And I also think the interesting combination of liberals and right-wingers who support this makes it possible. And I think I said some months ago on this show that it would happen because it makes too much sense. Now, I don't know the theater and I don't understand the theater that has gone on, but I'm glad we are at this point.
I thought the Kasich administration was already working on Medicaid reforms, and also, isn't there something called Jobs and Family Services out there that's already out there, already exists to help people get jobs? Is there a lot of redundancy going on here just for the sake of looking good?
Bill Cohen, they're going to study reforms. How close are we actually to enacting reform after we study reforms?
I have no idea, but all I know is this is such a complex issue. I don't even quite understand when they say reform. What reform are we talking about? I mean, are we talking about drug testing, welfare recipients or Medicaid recipients? I mean, that's a kind of a down-to-earth thing people could understand, and I know conservative Republicans have backed that idea. Is that the kind of thing we're talking about, or what else? Or just this idea that Ann's talking about, get these people jobs? Well, we already have that requirement in there.
And I think all legislators should recognize that nobody wants Medicaid to be a permanent program for anybody. It ought to be a way to help people who are on their way to doing better off. And so it's an important safety net, but there's a lot of people concerned about the efficiency and concerned about it becoming essentially a lifelong program.
I think all of y'all are right. I think it's all of the hot buttons. I think the most important piece of this legislation, it allows them to opt out if the federal government doesn't continue to do the program. I think that's been the biggest problem for a lot of Republicans.
But Mark, to your point that you don't want it to be a lifelong thing, but for a lot of older folks who are in nursing homes and who have exhausted all of their assets, Medicaid is a lifelong,
right,
for the
no
rest of their
doubt,
lives.
and for the rest of their lives. But the notion of generation after generation after generation relying on Medicaid for their health care, that's not efficient, and it ought not be the goal of any government program to capture entire generations and make them that dependent.
Yeah, but Mark, every industrialized country in the world has a free medical program. So what are you talking about?
We've had this debate as a nation, and Ohioans particularly have rejected Obamacare. And as it becomes implemented come January, you will see Obamacare be even less popular than it was the last two elections.
What I'm getting a kick out of is that conservative Republicans are saying, well, we'll vote for perhaps a Medicaid reform, but not Medicaid expansion. Mark, would you agree that even under the Sears proposal, there would be a couple 100,000 more people on Medicaid, and therefore it would be an expansion plus reforms?
Expansion plus reform is good. Before
But this is a separate bill now. It's not part of the budget. So, and most people believe, as Sam mentioned, there will be Democrats who support it, moderate Republicans who support it. It would pass, but will the leaders let it come to a vote? Will the House Speaker and Senate President let it come to a vote?
I think the Chamber, the Hospital Association, all these medical groups, the doctors, yeah, it's coming to a vote, and it's going to pass. It won't even be close.
Well, and here's one thing we know about the budget process. The closer legislators get to the deadline, the quicker they are to make the tough decisions that they weren't willing to make in April and May, because it comes down to dollars and cents at some level.
I like you, Mark.
Deadline being the budget deadline.
Yes, that's what I mean, the budget deadline.
deadline. Fiscal year. Well, our next topic, while they are run by private groups, charter schools have always been funded with public money. State money that would have gone to a local school district follows the student to his or her charter school. Now there's a move to use local tax money, the money that voters approve in school levy elections, for charters. Cleveland is now doing it, and Columbus may be able to take levy money and give it to charter schools. It's part of the reform package recommended by the Mayor's Education Commission. And Fisher, if we're already taking state money, taxpayer money, to fund charter schools, what's the big deal? What's the difference in using local levy money?
Well, charter schools have always been an animal of the state, something that dreamed up by a governor and approved by the Ohio General Assembly. State money for state policy, right? So now they want the locals to start pitching in, and that makes a big difference once locals start pitching in. What if they expand the idea to all school districts, then start reducing the amount of state aid, for instance, down the road? What if it pits charter and non-charter public schools against each other and competing for funding at some point? And what if putting charters on the levy ballot hurts the passage or the potential passage of the levy? Those are all important questions, but that's the big difference. Is it makes it more of a local initiative then.
Ann is absolutely right, and I think the difference is the percentage of dollars that charters will end up getting. Going through the state process, it's been different. Going through this process, the charters will get more than they've gotten in the past. I think there's a thing.
If the levies pass.
If the levies pass. And don't forget that. Put a pin in that and we'll get back to that. But the problem is there's a presumption about charters that a charter school can somehow be better. There's also an assumption where the charters exist that we can find all these staff people to make all these charters work. I think this is a heck of an overreach in the power structure in the city of Columbus in this legislation that they're putting through.
But Mark, the idea, they're calling it the Innovation Fund. They want more money to spur innovation. A lot of Columbus public schools right now do not have good grades. Is this the answer?
Well, it could be an answer. Let's remember why charter schools were even started. Remember, charter schools are public schools. We all know that, but not everyone watching may know that.
Privately run, but they're publicly funded.
Often privately run, and they're publicly funded, and they are meant to be stripped of the regulations that sometimes hold other typical traditional school districts back. And by allowing parents to choose, parents in the worst school districts in the state, to choose where to send their kids, innovation can thrive. Those that don't do well, there's a process to shut them down. But those who do well, parents will flock to it. And parents in these inner city neighborhoods need that choice.
If these rules you're talking about have been so restrictive and messed up the schools, it would seem to me the argument would be then get rid of them for all the public schools.
Well,
why do we
we've
have
not been able to, and it's not always just the rules, but we know the system has been built over decades, and it's hard to dismantle it.
But Mark,
and in the spirit of Sam and I agreeing on the previous question, the biggest supporters of charter schools are inner city parents and suburban conservatives who believe in the free market, and they have formed a partnership.
That's another interesting question, because they're asking about, well, isn't this then city voters subsidizing with their property tax dollars suburban students who may be going to city charter schools? And it wouldn't be taxation without representation, but it might be benefit of taxation without the burden of the of it.
And we could solve that by allowing charters statewide. Right now, charters, at least brick and mortar
There's the
charters,
slippery
are
slope I
limited
was
to
talking
just
about.
the most.
what is the record
troubled
of
school
charters,
districts.
Mark?
Beg your pardon?
What is the record of charters in
Well, it depends on
overcoming this
which charter
so-called
we
problem?
talk about.
No,
The charters
overall, the
often are
charters
taking the
record
kids
is
that
no-
are the worst performing from the worst performing schools, and then we expect somebody who couldn't run yesterday to be sprinting tomorrow.
Yeah, but
And
Mark,
as a
Some of these
result-
schools, Mark, are 10 years old, and they still haven't improved.
They still haven't
But
improved.
here's, I trust parents in choosing, and who will deny a parent the ability to choose what the best public school setting for their children.
What do you do with the kids who are left in the conventional schools? What do you do?
Well, they
for
have the
that?
ability to move as well.
There are a variety of
ought
reasons
to.
where you're going to expect
But they
all the
ought to.
kids in the public schools to end up in charter schools.
No, those who want to, the parents who care about their kids getting a good education will flock
And the
to
kids
the better
who are
schools.
stuck with parents who don't
don't?
care.
What
That's
happens
true,
then?
but that's
stuck.
true of life. We can't change that fact of life that
But public
kids with
schools
better
overcame
parents
that.
will have better. Oh no.
Yes, they did.
Listen, I'm a product of public schools.
So
My
am I.
mother was a public school principal, and I think they're great for a lot of people.
Oh.
But when you're trapped in a failing public school, you need a lifeline.
All right.
Charter schools are that lifeline.
This debate about money for the charter schools, I mean, it's almost a moot point because this thing would go before the voters, as I understand it. And it's hard to see
It would-
Columbus voters approving another tax levy on
Well, that's a fair
themselves
point.
with the data rigging scandal plus
That's
this,
a fair
this
point.
controversy.
And
Let's
it's-
get to the
it's
str-
not
the-
chump
no,
change.
But if you were to say in selling this levy, well, I'll ask the campaign consultant to say this is going to fund innovation. This is going to fund a new system where charters are going to have more money. Is that a way to get a levy passed?
It's a better argument than same old, because right now Bill's point is well taken. Columbus School District voters must be furious at the nonsense that's happening in that school district and ready to take it out.
And here's the other argument. And did you know that if you approve this levy, you'll be funding schools for suburban kids to come into the
That
city
you have
and
no
use?
control over.
I mean, there's
No,
a
that's,
really.
I can see the other side saying that, which is why Bill's point is correct to be very difficult to pass.
All right, we'll see what happens. After a long fight, it looks like the state soon will force internet cafes to cash out. The Ohio Senate has approved a bill that will effectively shut down the pseudo slots parlors. Attorney General Mike DeWine and many others say the cafes offer illegal gambling. Cafe owners claim they are only running a sweepstakes and they are just small businesses trying to make a buck. Bill Cohen, this has gone on for a long time. They've tried to shut down these internet cafes, but within a matter of a month, it was done. It's on the governor's desk. What happened?
Well, about a month ago, Republican senators were kind of skeptical, at least Republican Senate leaders were skeptical about this, and we got hints that, well, maybe they wouldn't try to kill these cafes, they try to regulate them. But then there were some raids on some of the cafes up in Cleveland and another office, I think in New Jersey, that was linked to it, and all of a sudden, in a couple of day time, the Republican Senate leaders were right there with Mike DeWine, the Attorney General, who had always called for this, and said, yeah, we're going to shut these down. And the Senate president even said, and I'm calling on all my fellow Republican senators to give back all the campaign money, any campaign money they might have gotten with anybody in this industry. So they wanted to, obviously the Republicans want to wash their hands of this and get it behind
There's
them.
another side to this. I've been working with the Ohio Free Enterprise Alliance, which are the local officials, mayors, council members, who are already regulating many of these cafes and taxing them and getting benefits for their local police and fire. Their argument in this debate has been, don't ban them, regulate them and try to solve every problem that the critics have pointed out. Tax them and allow local governments to either welcome them or ban them as they wish, and that voice has not been heard well in this discussion.
So what are these cities and towns going to do? They can lose a lot of money, or is it a big
Some
chunk out of their
of
Well,
budget?
some of them could lose $70, $80, $90, $100,000 a year. Some press reports have suggested there might be a referendum on this issue, so Ohio voters could choose. It's unclear. The House will probably take action next week, and the governor will likely sign that
And
bill.
those will tend to be political subdivisions that could not afford to lose. $100,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but a lot of these are located in poor areas where they can use it.
You know, the interesting thing for me, 4 years ago, we had little or no gambling in Ohio.
Yeah.
Now we are flush with gambling.
But this, of course, this will mean, right, Bill? This will be the end if this happens and they do shut down. This will be the
No,
end
it
of
won't.
all unregulated gambling in
won't.
Ohio, right?
And we went through this
As
before.
if unregulated gambling just,
Right. I mean, it was 3 years ago when we had these things popping up. They were called skilled games.
Right.
Skilled. They said, we're not doing gambling. These things take, you have to have this cartoon character move this direction or have this ball fall in this hole. It's skill, so it's not gambling, they said. Well, so the legislature said, well, we don't believe it. We're going to put a $10 prize cap on that, and they went away. But then they came back under the guise of, well, we're just selling phone cards and
Look at the
computer
check-
time.
The check
So,
caption thing. They thought they had gotten rid of those.
yeah. So, they may come back. I don't know what the new loophole will be. They may come back.
well, there's difference. I mean, I was kind of surprised they didn't at least try to regulate because there's these, there's the lottery commission, there's the gambling, the whole thing
And
that's
there was
set
a
up
bill to regulate, right?
there wa-
Representative
to
Magg had a
regulate.
bill but it didn't move. This one did.
Okay, let's get to our next topic. Remember all those fears of voter fraud during the 2012 election? All those billboards we saw warning people that it was a felony? Well, those billboards either worked really well or voter fraud was not that big of a problem. Secretary of State Jon Husted says statewide investigators found 135 cases of possible fraud. Now, there are 5.6 million votes. There were 5.6 million votes cast last fall. That means the percentage of possible voter fraud was 0.001%. Sam Gresham, you can say I told you so right now if you want.
I can gloriously say I told you so. Chairman of Common Cause, I am happy to say today that we have been espousing for years that there was little or no voter fraud, and all the legislation, regulations, and laws that they put in place was directed at a potential 135 people.
But you're trying to prove a negative. Might all this legislation that was passed kept the voter fraud down?
I would think not, because those who are intending to win elections don't win through this type of voter fraud. They do it through other ways of voter fraud and getting wholesale, not retail votes. These are retail voters, people who made mistakes. I think the principle of it, though, is that all the laws that were put together last year that ended up suppressing people said it was protecting people, and I guess it was 135 people.
Well, this is where Sam and I will differ. First of all, 135 is what we know about. There's lots of crimes that happen in Ohio every day that we'll never know about. Secondly, I worked in the Civil Rights Division at the Justice Department. I worked on the largest voting rights case in American history. And here's what I know. We have Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act because 30 years ago there was terrible abuse of African American voters in the South. It's microscopic and almost non-existent today, but we still have Section 5 because every abuse ought to be prosecuted, and every instance of voter fraud must be prosecuted because it does happen, and it's a civil rights violation when it does.
But my math isn't very good, but you have to times that number by 1,000 to get to 1%.
Oh, no question. We have like I said, pre-clearance requirements in America under Section 5. There's virtually none in the modern era of someone trying to screw around with the voting
Mike,
process
I
to hurt somebody.
appreciate you trying to support civil rights, but that's not the intent of voter suppression.
Well, there's no voter suppression. We're talking about voter fraud here.
Well,
this
okay.
is voter fraud, which,
but the laws
which you
that
agree
were
is
put
wrong,
together
right? But you
to
agree that's wrong.
protect ending up suppressing.
But you agree
yes,
voter
I
fraud's
agree
wrong,
with you.
and it ought to be prosecuted every
and
chance
I also
we can.
agree
right?
that some of the laws became too stealthy to help
That's
people
a policy
facilitate
question.
voting.
That's not a legal question about whether it's illegal or not. The Supreme Court has said, for example, voter ID is constitutional. People call that voter suppression. The Supreme Court disagrees. We don't have it in Ohio, but it's not voter suppression.
If the proposal for photo ID, we have ID requirement, but not photo ID right now, if that wasn't already dead, it should be dead now, you would think, because this would show there's virtually no need for it. Would you
Secretary
agree?
Husted said the instances he identified, most of them would not have been prevented by voter ID, is what he said.
Does this, I mean, Jon Husted, in making this and releasing the study, said that we need to, it was a dose of reality. You know, we have all this rhetoric about voter fraud everywhere. He's saying, yeah, it exists, but it's a very small number. And does this this end the debate that there's voter fraud in every city and town in Ohio?
I don't think it'll end the debate, because if it suits somebody's purpose, they'll raise the debate again. But I do give credit to Jon Husted for putting it in the terms that he has and making it very, very clear that he's not, as the chief elections officer of the state of Ohio, he is not concerned about it at this point and thinks that we have bigger fish to fry, more important things to worry about in the state of Ohio now.
Sam, if the rules stay exactly the same in, say, 2016, 2014, as they were in 2012, you know, you have voting 30 days out. Mm-hmm. There was voting the weekend before, the Sunday before the election. No ID, additional requirements on IDs, no photo ID. Is that okay?
No, it's not okay, and it created a backlash for the Republicans. So I hope they put more draconian rules in place, because people responded by going out to vote. They stayed in long lines because they were so irritated at the fact that people were trying to prevent them. I think what the study says, that all those restrictions that you have in place, you need to get rid of, because the problem is not that big. So the law that you were trying to create to protect that 135 is overkill.
Now, the study suggests that the laws work, and warning people that it's a crime works, and it is a crime, and we ought to go after every single instance because it violates all of our civil rights.
Sam, as Republicans may have, you know, used some hyperbole to describe voter fraud, Do Democrats use that same hyperbole when describing voter suppression?
Heck yeah, we're trying to get as many people to the polls as
I
possible.
like an honest man. That's what I like about you, Sam. You're an honest man. Absolutely. We're back agreeing together again, Sam.
I want my voters to get there, so fine. But I think it's the spirit of the intent and the meanness of the process that really irritates people. You know, I'm from Mississippi, and I remember my father told me about going in there and the man asking him, "Tell me how many jelly beans are in that jar, son," before he can vote. It's not that bad, but it's close.
It's nowhere near that bad. Those are despicable times in American history. And in the modern era, instances like that are virtually unheard of.
But you can understand that the history.
Because of the laws. Because of the federal laws which held people accountable for doing that, and now voter fraud laws hold people accountable for doing that.
If they had a jar of jelly beans at my voting place, I'd be so happy. But they're not even allowed to give you candy anymore.
All right, let's get to our final topic tonight. We'll answer perhaps the longest unanswered question at the State House, a question that has long been asked by lawmakers and reporters. Just how old is Bill Cohen? Well, Bill Cohen is so old, he's been covering taxpayer giveaways or incentives to businesses since the Carter administration.
It was only 3.5 years ago. Republican Governor Rhodes and Democrats who controlled the legislature were at a bitter deadlock over tax incentives for industry. Lawmakers were cool to the idea, but the governor was hot on it.
The stories are the same, the beard is the same, just a little more distinguished. Bill Cohen, from his early days at WOSU, when AM radio was cool and UHF TV was kind of cool, he of course went on to report for Ohio Public Radio and TV, serving as its State House correspondent, covering Governors Rhodes, Gilligan, Celeste, Voinovich, Taft, and Kasich. He's retiring now, and we still wonder who has aged more, him or his sources.
It was hard for senators to oppose the pro-business plan. Senator John Kasich said he didn't like the idea of the state being in the loan business, but
when I look at the problems that we're experiencing in the state in terms of sky-high interest rates and the problem of growing unemployment, particularly in the Youngstown area and many other areas of the state, and the problem of competing with other states in terms of industry and the problems of capital formation, we obviously are in a position here in the state of Ohio where we've got to do something.
Bill Cohen, are you disappointed that after all these years they still haven't settled the argument whether tax incentives attract business or not?
They haven't settled any of these arguments. School funding, you name it. It goes on, never ends.
What have you been doing all these years? This panel here knows Bill. They've worked with Bill, covered Bill, been covered by Bill for the longest time. So I thought we'd all just roast Bill here for a few minutes while we end our show.
Well, I was going to say, not only has the beard not changed, but that gray tweed sports coat, I think, is on display today. So that's the same. It's still in style, or maybe it's back in style. Listen,
why is that Bill Cohen back? Why is he scowling so much?
Very serious
nicer.
man.
Listen, I have worked with reporters for the better part of 3 decades, including those at the national level, and most of the time you can tell they've got an angle. That you can tell what their personal beliefs are. I've said this to Bill privately, I'll say it publicly. Bill Cohen has covered me for years, and I've never wondered whether he was for me or against me. He was just fair. I don't know what his politics are. He never displayed them. He was never angry or accusatory. He always gave me a fair shot, and every person I know who deals with him has said the exact same thing.
I remember the first time I heard that Bill Cohen collected campaign buttons, and I thought, well, how big could his collection be? And then I went to one of his 60s coffee houses, and I saw just a fraction of your collection on display at one of those, and couldn't believe it. And around the time I went to the first coffee house was about one of the times Jim Traficant, the Youngstown Democrat, was running for re-election to the U.S. House. He was eventually sentenced to federal prison on federal corruption charges, but that's another story. But anyways, he was running for re-election. I picked up an amazing Jim Traficant campaign button that I always promised but never delivered to you. You said you weren't sure you ever had it. Here it is. I found it, and I thought I want to give it to you now and hope that it will add something to your collection.
That is a great button.
I
love the hair.
Sam, we got about 30 seconds. I'm going to have you.
Mark is correct, but people don't know his other talents. He's a great musician. He's a wonderful person. He's a warm person, and Mark is correct. He's honest, and he's straightforward. I'm going to miss him, but I hope to see him around.
Thank you so much.
I remember the first time I came to town, didn't know Bill. I listened to him on the radio, and You always don't know what a guy looks like on the radio. I knew exactly what Bill Cohen looked like when I heard him on the radio. I said he's a guy with a beard, with a gravelly voice. He looks just like he looks just like he do on the radio. Anyway, time for our off-the-record parting shots. We'll start with you, Mark Weaver.
For the last 13 years, I've been practicing law with the Columbus law firm Isaac Brandt Levitt and Teeter. This week, we merge with the Columbus firm Wiles Burkholder. We will be known as Isaac Wiles. We'll be one of the bigger firms in town. I'm looking forward to the new challenge.
Sam.
I am looking forward to Medicare reform being passed and all the research studies and the jobs associated with it.
Medicaid reform.
Yeah, Medicaid reform.
Happy Memorial Day to everybody. It used to be called Decoration Day. Why? Because that's when the day you go to decorate the grave sites at the cemetery of our fallen military people who have served in the military. So that's what it's about. Don't forget about that. And thanks, Mark, for the idea.
Bill?
I'm out of predictions. I'm out.
Tired of predictions. You're tired.
I predicted Bill Cohen will have a good retirement, a long and healthy retirement. I also want to toot our own horn a bit. WOSU Radio won several first-place awards in the annual AP Awards competition. Ann Fisher and All Sides won an award, and we were named Ohio's Outstanding News Operation. So if you haven't listened to 89.7 FM for news, check it out. And if you do listen, thank you, and listen more. It's pretty good. That's Columbus on the Record for this week. Check us out online. Continue the conversation on Twitter and Facebook, and see streaming video at our website, WOSU.org. For our crew and for our panel, I'm Mike Thompson. Have a good week.